If you are waiting for the perfect moment to start taking care of yourself, I am afraid that I've got some bad news for you, my friend, because that moment isn't coming. And here's what I mean by that: life will always be full. Your to do list will never be done, and nobody is going to hand you time to rest. The good news: you don't need more time, you just need a new approach. So let's talk about it. Welcome to the Magic Mindfulness Podcast, where we take yoga, mindfulness, and self care beyond the mat and into your real everyday life. I'm your host, Rachel Hupp, yoga teacher, mindfulness coach, and someone who knows firsthand what it is like to hold a lot, do a lot, and still crave a deeper sense of balance, ease, and alignment. So, today we are diving into one of the biggest struggles that so many of us face when it comes to self care. And that is actually making time for it, my friend. So, if you feel like self care is just one more thing on your never ending to do list, if you believe that self care has to be big to be effective, or if you struggle with guilt when you finally do take time for yourself, this episode is for you. We are going to break down why this happens, how to shift your mindset around self care, and I will be sharing 10 simple, doable ways to fit self care into even the fullest of days. No guilt, no perfectionism, and no overwhelm required. Because self care, it's not about adding more to your life, it's about coming home to yourself in a way that is natural, nourishing, and wildly aligned. So let's be honest. Self care, it sounds nice in theory, right? But in practice, raise your hand, put a hand raise in the comments if you can relate to this. It's the first thing to go when life gets busy, right? You tell yourself you're going to take a break once you finish this one last thing. But if your life is anything like mine, there is always one more thing, always another thing. You think, well, I'll put myself first. I'll start prioritizing myself when things slow down. But somehow they just never seem to slow down. So here is the real problem. We have been taught that self care has to be big to matter, right? That if we can't do the full routine, exercise, meditate, journal, take a bath, then we don't do it all. It's that black or white thinking, right? That all or nothing mentality. We also feel guilty when we do take time for ourselves. Like it means that we're neglecting somebody or something else. And the reality of it is that so many of us are so used to doing that that slowing down feels unnatural. We're so used to the doing, the going. We don't even know what it's like to just be, to slow down. It is almost uncomfortable, if not downright so, right? Let me know if you can relate to that. Give me a thumbs up in the comments. So here's the truth, my friend. Self care does not have to be perfect. This is a struggle for the perfectionists out here. I'm raising my hand. Self care doesn't have to take hours, and it definitely isn't selfish. I think it was the Buddha who said that if your compassion does not include yourself, it is incomplete. Self care is a practice of self trust, honoring your own needs. And trust, my friend, trust is built in small, mindful moments, built consistently over time. It doesn't have to be these grand gestures, just little things, small pockets of time. And I'm telling you this because I've learned it the hard way. I know this because I have been there. I used to tell myself that I was too busy to have a real self care routine between working full time in my corporate job, fixer upper home, life partner. You know, my fiance and I were getting married this year. We've been together almost 9 years now. Of course, family, you want to be a good daughter, a good sister, my friends, and then my yoga and my coaching business. There is always something demanding my attention, right? And I think it was around 8 years ago that I made a decision that instead of waiting for the perfect moment, I rolled out my yoga mat in my bedroom, sat down my meditation cushion, and I sat. I committed to just 2 minutes a day, just 2 minutes. That's it. And, these days my cats curl up beside me like they know it's time. They know our morning routine. It's a sacred space. But in the beginning, all I committed to was those 2 minutes. And in those 2 minutes, I just breathed. And at first, it felt so small. I thought, is this even worth it? But little by little, something shifted. 2 minutes became 5. 5 minutes became 10. And now, almost every single morning, I sit for 20 minutes of mindful meditation, breath work. And then I would say 75% of days, I do a short yoga or movement practice as well. But on the busy, stressful days, I still go back to my 2-minute rule, right? Because it's not about time, it's about showing up. And that tiny habit completely changed my mood, my energy, and how I move through the day. So it doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to take a whole lot of time. All it requires is showing up for yourself on a consistent basis, whatever fits into your day. And, this has been magical for me, my friend, and I want that for you too. So let me know in the comments if you have a morning routine, what does it look like? And if you don't, what do you struggle with? Is it something that you want? Is it something that you have a hard time fitting in? Is it something you have a hard time committing to? Let me know, what it looks like for you. And if it's something that you've got down pat, or if it's something that you struggle with. And if it is something that you've been practicing for a while, I would also love to know how it has benefited you, because I think it has been just so powerful for me. Even just taking a couple of minutes out of my go, go, go day to slow down, to tune in with myself, it has been life changing. Now, I know what you might be thinking. What if I really don't have time? What if there is something truly more important? What if I feel guilty taking time for myself? And I hear you, my friend, and I want to offer a bit of a different perspective on this. And so, just an invitation to have an open mind here and allow yourself to consider what if. What if self care isn't about finding more time, but reclaiming the time that's already there? Because we all have the same 24 hours in a day, right? What if taking care of yourself actually makes everything else easier? What if you could start small, just 2 minutes like I did, and let it be enough? Again, I am kind of saying this for the recovering perfectionists out there, lifelong recovering perfectionists like myself. Here's the thing, you do not have to deserve self care, you don't have to earn it. And I promise you, when you take time for yourself, when you make time for yourself, everybody around you benefits. You show up more present, more patient, and more relaxed, less stressed. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish. Taking care of yourself allows you to offer the best of you to the world around you, to truly let your light shine. And so, how, when life is so crazy busy, how do we make self care work in real life? Well, I'm going to share with you 10 simple ways that you can fit self care into the smallest pockets of time, even on the busiest of days. And I would love to know, let me know in the comments if any of these really resonate with you. If there's one that you're going to try today, let me know. And if there's something that I missed, something that I should have added on the list that I didn't, put that in the comments too, because everybody who reads it can benefit. So, number one, take 5 deep breaths. Your breath is something that you carry with you all the time. The breath is so powerful, and it doesn't take any fancy tools. All it takes is a few seconds to check in with yourself. So you can reset your nervous system literally in under a minute just by giving yourself those 5 deep breaths, following the rhythm of the breath with the mind, breathing in and breathing out 5 times. Heck, why not? Let's do it right now. Why not? So go ahead and empty your breath. And then just take a long, slow, deep breath all the way in. Gently let it go. Inhale deeply and release. Big breath in. Let it go. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. Breathe it in. And let it go. Come back to the natural rhythm of your breath. Check in. How do you feel? That was self care. You just did it. Good job. Give yourself a pat on the back. You just did it. See, it doesn't have to be complex. It doesn't have to take a whole lot of time, but it can totally shift how you feel in just a few seconds. So that was number one. Take 5 deep breaths. Number two, stretch for 1 minute. That might mean unclenching your jaw, rolling your shoulders, maybe some head or neck rolls, opening your body, reaching the arms out and up and overhead and letting them go. Maybe it's standing up if you've been sitting all day. Maybe it's taking some twists or just stretching and moving, tuning in, asking your body what it needs. You can do this literally in a minute or less, and it's going to feel so good, my friend. All right, my third tip to fit self care into even the busiest of days is to get outside, even if it's just for a moment. So, I work from home these days. I live in a little cabin in the woods. And like I mentioned earlier, I work full time. I've got a part time job coaching and teaching yoga. And I've got a family. I've got a busy life, very busy life, not much downtime. And so, one thing that I have found that has been super, super powerful for me, excuse me, is simply the act of stepping away from my computer for a moment, stepping out onto the deck, out into nature. I live in the woods, it's beautiful. But even if I just step outside for a moment and take in the view, take in the surroundings, and whether you live in the woods or not, step outside, take in some fresh air. Notice the sights and the sounds around you. Fresh air, I'm not kidding, fresh air can shift your energy in a moment. Doesn't take much time. All right, number 4, drink a glass of water, but do it mindfully. Our bodies need water to survive. Our bodies need water to thrive. Drinking water, but drinking it mindfully. This is a super simple act of self care that helps to reset your body, your mind. And a side effect of this is that you might feel more nourished, more energized. You'll feel better perhaps as you move throughout your day just because you hydrated a little bit more. Now, if plain water is boring, you can drink warm water or cold water with lemon. You can add lime or orange or fruit, whatever helps you to just be more mindful about this small, simple self care practice, nourishing yourself, hydrating yourself by mindfully drinking a glass of water. All right, here's one of my favorites. This was what started my mindful morning journey, and that is to sit in silence for 2 minutes. No distractions. I like to think no phone, but I use my phone as my timer. So there's that, the temptation, right? There's the temptation. And so you've got to be mindful. When you pick up your phone to set the timer, you're going straight to the timer. But sit in silence for 2 minutes. Notice the rhythm of the breath as it comes and goes. Notice whatever is supporting you. Notice the feel of the air on your skin, the sights and the sounds around you. Sitting in stillness can be uncomfortable. Can you offer yourself that invitation, that exploration, that open-minded connection to yourself? Sitting in stillness, in silence for 2 minutes. All right, now here's another super easy one. Place one hand on your heart and breathe. That's it. Place a hand on your heart and breathe. Feel your presence. Ground yourself. Feel the earth, the chair, the support beneath you. Be here in this moment now, less doing, more being, at least in the moment we're in. Now, this is a fun one. Listen to one song that either soothes or energizes you, and just let that music change your state of mind. Now, here's another practice I love, gratitude. Write down 3 things that you are grateful for. You can do this in a minute or 2, but it's a simple practice that can help to rewire your brain, shifting your perspective, right? Here's another one. This one can be challenging. Say one kind thing to yourself. We talked about this, we touched on this a little bit earlier. Self compassion is self care. You can say, wow, I really love how this sweater looks on me today. You can say, wow, I really value how I handled that challenging situation earlier today. You can say, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I took the time to compliment my coworker on her good job because it really seemed to lift her up. Say something kind to yourself. It doesn't matter what it is. Self compassion is self care. All right, this is the last one that I have to share with you today. And this one is powerful but hard. Pause before reacting. We talk about this in my Wildly Aligned Women program. It's the power of the pause, giving yourself time to respond rather than react. A breath, a beat, a moment to mindfully take the time to choose how you want to respond to a given situation. So let me just recap because we have covered a lot. We've talked about 10 simple ways, simple doesn't mean easy, but 10 simple ways that you can prioritize self care even when you're busy. We talked about taking 5 deep breaths, stretching for a minute, getting outside for a moment, drinking a glass of water, sitting in silence for 2 minutes, placing a hand on your heart and just breathing. Listening to a song that either lights you up, energizes you, or calms and grounds you. Writing down a few things you're grateful for. Saying something nice to yourself. And pausing before reacting. The key here, my friend, is to keep it simple. If we overcomplicate it like we tend to want to do, at least me, we don't do it. So let it be easy. Let these moments be enough. And I can tell you from personal experience that the more you practice, the easier it gets. So now it is time to take action. First, I'm going to invite you to go to the show notes and download my self-care strategies workbook. And again, you'll find that link down in the show notes. It is packed with simple, practical ways that you can help start building these habits into your life in a way that is doable, doesn't feel overwhelming, so it will actually stick. And then second, I want to invite you to tune into the next episode because we're going to be talking about why slowing down feels so hard for so many of us and how to actually do it without feeling guilty. So if you struggle with rest, with slowing down, if you're uncomfortable doing nothing, or if the idea of even slowing down makes you anxious, you are not going to want to miss the next episode. So stick around, stay tuned. And if this episode resonated with you, I would love to hear from you. So send me a message over on Instagram at I am Rachel Hupp, or share this episode with a friend who could use a little bit more ease in her life. And remember, my friend, self-care, it is not about adding more to your plate. It's not about that. It's about coming home to yourself in the simplest, most nourishing way possible. You are worthy of taking care of yourself always. I'll see you next time, my friend.